All right, welcome to episode 41 of Ev Singleton Unleashed. This is the James Posey episode. I thought about going with the, number 41 Kelly Olynyk episode, but I forgot how much that guy frustrated the hell out of me. And then I stumbled upon the fact that Michael Olowokandi was number 41 for the Celtics. Almost wanted to do that just because he was a, fun throwback to throw in there, but we decided on the championship ringer, put a ring on that finger, James Posey. So let's get with episode 41 right now. We got a lot to talk about. Some good, some bad. Let's just get into it. All right, so episode 41. We are going to start off with, this is the morning after the loss to the Nuggets. Yes, the loss to the Nuggets, and I'm not really bummed about the loss. If anything, any Celtics fans watching that last night, we understand that really didn't matter. Once Kemba Walker went down, and if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Kemba Walker went down with a freak neck injury. He ran into Semi Ojeleye, who was built like a brick house. And Kemba Walker went limp immediately. He went down speaking of bricks, like a sack of bricks. And he didn't move for maybe 7 to 10 minutes. I might be off on that number, but he stayed down there. He did not move even leaving the arena. They had to put him on a stretcher, strap him down, send him to the hospital. And it took the wind out of everybody's sail. I didn't care about the Celtics game after that. I wanted that win against Denver so freaking bad before the game. But that just took the wind out of the sails. I couldn't care less about the outcome of that game once that happened. And I'm sure 99% of the Celtics fans are with me. Now, Kemba Walker was diagnosed with concussion-like symptoms. He's actually back home from the hospital, going to get reevaluated further. But that is probably the best case scenario. And I tweeted it out, and a couple of, maybe 1% of you guys were like, how could you ever wish a concussion upon someone? All I tweeted out was, I've never been happier to hear someone has a concussion. And I think people that weren't watching the game or didn't know what happened, maybe non-Celtics fans and whatnot, thought I was saying, I hate Kemba Walker, I've never been so glad to see someone injured. But anyone watching the game, you guys understand, what I meant by that was, I'm so relieved that that's all it is. That could have been worse. Kemba Walker couldn't move on the ground. We were trembling as fans watching that, to the point where I saw people tweeting, oh my god, he moved his toe, that's a good sign. We thought he was toast. It crossed everyone's mind, the worst case scenario. So the fact that he's just concussed or has concussion-like symptoms, yeah, I'm sorry if that offends someone, but that is a good sign. I think Celtics Nation knows that. I think the team knows that. Kemba Walker probably knows that it's great that he has a concussion. So don't come at me saying, why would you wish a concussion upon someone? No, I just didn't want Kemba Walker to never walk again. Now, moving on to the team. Kemba Walker, I can't believe it happened to the Celtics again. Not to take it away from Kemba Walker, because we don't necessarily know exactly what happened. And quick story time. I got a point here. So Kemba Walker has a concussion, right? Or that's what we're seeing. We don't know if it's a really bad concussion or a really good concussion. Ironically, someone like me who doesn't even remember how many concussions they've had, I believe it's 5 or 6, but I didn't lose count because of my concussions. I lost count because I'm a dummy. But I've had a concussion where, I get going to the hospital, and then I end up just walking out of the hospital. That happened back when I was in high school. I was with my mom. They put us in there, and all of a sudden I was like, I know I got concussed, but I think I'm okay. And no doctor saw us for over an hour, so we just left. And then I've had the ones, playing football growing up where I just got KO'd on the field. So it varies. The severity of a concussion can vary, and we don't know. So just a little quick story time there, but that's the point. Concussion can be terrible, or it can be you got your bell rung, let's take a week off, yada, 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 get back to the game. So that is why I'm just happy to hear that it's concussion, because there's always the chance that it's just the minor concussion. Now, do we know that? No. And are we hoping for that? Yes. But getting to the team, it's crazy. And Kemba Walker's the biggest part of this. I'm not trying to block it out and be like, oh, it's more important to the Celtics. No, Kemba Walker, prayers up for him. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, please keep Kemba in your mind just to make sure he's okay, because you never know if they do, some further testing and find something. Keep your prayers with him. But as a Celtics fan, how does this keep happening to the team? Gordon Hayward goes down a couple years ago. His ankle's turned towards Alaska. He comes back, and he isn't that great. Then he comes back, and he's really good. Really good this year. and he breaks his hand. And we're like, all right, we got this. All right, we're going to rally. We still got Kemba. And then Kemba Walker gets knocked out right on a tough road trip when they're about to come back to Boston. This team has the worst luck. The way they've lost games has been like, you could argue has been luck as well. You know, the opposite of luck, bad luck. So it's just been so hard to see this sort of play out in front of us. Kemba Walker going down. Prior to that, Gordon Hayward going down. You know, Jaylen Brown was injured at the beginning of the year. It's like everything. This team seemingly has not been at full strength whatsoever this year. They haven't had a game, in my mind, that, you know, everyone's healthy, everyone's playing well. They've had bits and pieces of games, but any of the games that, like when they came back against the Bucks, everyone was playing well. Jaylen wasn't there. They were playing well, and some of these wins that they've had, that it's like, okay, they played well. They started the game poorly, so we just haven't seen the Celtics team even at 100% yet. That's the greater point. You want to dissect my words? Maybe I'm sounding stupid right now, but the Celtics haven't played at 100% yet. Whether it's health, whether it's a 48 minutes of play, we haven't seen that yet, and this Kemba Walker injury, you know, it's terrible, and it just is another setback for the team. I hope he's going to be okay. I hope that, you know, Gordon Hayward comes back and he's okay as well, because by the time this team gets going, and the fact that they're, 11-4 now, and they haven't even got going yet, we're in for a treat. We are going to be good. Like, this team just needs to keep it together. And when I say keep it together, they just got to stay healthy. They can't catch a break, or bad joke here, but they've been catching too many breaks. So it's just been tough to watch, because I just know these guys. This team we love as Celtics fans, right? We're loving the heart, we're loving the grit, but can you imagine what these guys feel? Like, some of the guys that were on the Kyrie team are probably like, holy crap, I love this game. Like, I love this team. I love playing. I love fighting with these guys. And they're experiencing it firsthand. Like, a guy like Marcus Smart, that probably hits him so hard that Kemba Walker's down now. You know, a guy that just wants to win, and we get upset about it as fans, but can you imagine these players? Like, they know they're a legit team. I've said it so many times. This team is legit. But damn, they're just experiencing it firsthand that all of these, whether it's minor or major setbacks, and it is really tough. But all right, let's switch gears a little bit here. We're gonna go from talking about the sad Kemba to whatnot to we're not gonna get to a happy subject. We're gonna get to a pretty crappy subject, and it involves Kyrie Irving. So I don't know. I have a huge conspiracy about this situation. It's probably wrong. But my mind's this concussed mind has got to work lately. All right, so Kyrie Irving, the Nets announced that he is going to miss the next 3 games because of his sore shoulder. Oh, my shoulder, it just hurts. He's missing the next 3 games, including the game back to Boston. He's not even traveling with the team. He's not even going to make the road trip, the 3-game road trip they have. We heard about this, at least I heard about this, during the game last night, during the whole Kemba Walker saga, and this is my conspiracy. I already admit, Nets fans, you'll hate me for this, but just respect that I'm a biased Celtics fan. Celtics fans, you might love me for this. You're also going to respect that I'm a biased Celtics fan. I think that the Nets planted the fact that Kyrie's not going to play during this Kemba Walker saga. It's a cover-up. First off, I don't care if he's injured or not. I tweeted it out and I said he's a fraud. You Nets fans are coming for me. Fine. If you want to play, Kyrie Irving's actually injured. Awesome. I'm sure he's really injured with that boo-boo because he's a wimp. We saw it in Boston. He misses games for, a broken fingernail. He's a puss. But the fact that he's not even traveling with the team, the fact that he's not even coming back to Boston, wimp. He's done it with Cleveland. He's doing it with Boston now. Kyrie Irving, I don't care if he's injured. Like I said, the fact that he's not making the trip, the fact that he's afraid to come into the Garden proves that he is a wimp. He's afraid of it. He's a coward. All right, so Nets fans, leave your BS at the door. He's already missed a bunch of games. It's a sore shoulder. The fact that he's already saying, hey, 5 days from now, it's still going to hurt big time. I'm not even making the trip. He's letting his team down. He's letting the Celtics fans down the chance to boo him because they know he knows we'd boo the hell out of him. And it is just BS. I don't want to hear someone say, no, it's pretty legit. Like, we didn't know about the Kyrie injury over the summer when we already said, yeah, he's probably not going to play when he's too much of a fraud. He's too much of a coward. He's not going to play when they come to town in November. So he's not going to play. And then you know what's going to bug me too? He's probably going to play the second game there when they play after Thanksgiving. he's probably going to play then. And, he'll be like, oh, see, I wasn't afraid. I played against the Celtics. Yeah, dude, you played in your own home court, and, with the Nets fans cheering you on, and seemingly it's just way different, but that's going to be the spin of idiot Nets fans who weren't even fans prior to Kyrie coming. I swear, there's 4 Nets fans in it, and it jumped up to 1 million once Kyrie got there and Durant got there. But do not tell me that there's nothing connected with Kyrie Irving and not playing in Boston. Don't tell me, oh, no, he would have played if he was healthy, because he would not have. He wouldn't have. He's done it. He's made up reasons, load management against Cleveland before, even when, in the past, and now he's doing it the first time back. And we are going to get into some questions at the end of this podcast, so shout out to you guys who sent questions in, and we have a little bit more to talk about that, about when they end up coming to town in a little bit. But overall, I just am not furious. Like, I don't really give a shit, but it is just so clear as day that Kyrie's not playing because it's Boston, not because of a little shoulder boo-boo. I got a bum shoulder right now. I'm still doing this podcast, Kyrie. But let's get away from Kyrie. Like I said, we are going to mention him. I proofread some of these questions that you guys sent in prior to the episode, so we are going to get to I think it's at least 1 or 2 more Kyrie questions about him possibly playing the Celtics later on in the season in Boston. But now I want to talk about one thing, and this is supposed to be the lead of the podcast. This is supposed to be the biggest part of the podcast. And the Kyrie news, the Kemba news, they definitely just took priority over it. But we are going to get into Jayson Tatum, who he didn't play too well against Denver, right? He had some clutch plays, but he also took a couple shots questionable down the stretch. But that's not what we're talking about. I blacked out that game. The team came back against Denver. Great. I blacked it out. I didn't care. I wanted to know about Kemba. So we're going to not talk about that game, talk about Jayson Tatum specifically. I published the article on GuyBostonSports.com yesterday. Jayson Tatum. I've seen so much hate still this season, so much hate that Jayson Tatum is overrated. And, I published the article. Check it out. The title is, it's time for the Gordon Hayward. Time for the Jayson Tatum is overrated take to come to an end, because it is just so stupid at this point. And I acknowledged that Jayson Tatum is so hyped up to the nth degree. Like, Jayson Tatum, everyone says Jayson Tatum's going to be a legend. That is a big hype. But as I say in the article, this season's almost proving that hype is okay. Like, you don't have to live up to your hype while it's happening. Does that make sense? LeBron James, as a high school player, was hyped up to be the next greatest thing ever. He wasn't the greatest thing ever at that time. It's okay to be hyped. Hyped is for the future. You don't hype a guy up in the present. So the hype is okay. The fact that they're hyping Jayson Tatum up, and me too, to be a future Celtic legend, that is fine. Why? Because he's actually showing what he needs to be showing. He's proving what he needs to prove. He's only 21 years old, and he's already showing he has the potential to get to where he needs to be. He's not done what, and Wiggins is having a good year, but he's not doing what, like, Wiggins did, where he was supposed to be the next Kobe or next anything, and, and then he just kind of came into the league really flat, had some things people didn't like. Jayson Tatum has seemingly won over non-Celtics fans at all. And I hate to compare it to Wiggins, but Wiggins, it seems like Timberwolves fans are the ones that still love Wiggins, right? And I'm biased towards Wiggins, so if you're a Wiggins fan, if you don't agree with that, it's not going to work to me, because I don't like Wiggins. So I'm biased. I'm already claiming a lot of biases here on this podcast, but hey, you're not going to win me over. Just respect my opinion and agree to disagree. But Jayson Tatum, I don't think it's bias. Jayson Tatum has shown what he can be. That's the thing. You can hype someone up. You can say, oh, that's a lot of hype, pal. But guess what? If you even are showing that you might live up to that hype, it gives the hype some credence. It doesn't mean, oh, he's already there, like, oh, he's already a Celtics legend. No, that is stupid. No one is saying Jayson Tatum is already a Celtics legend. That would give the people saying he's overrated some leeway here. If you say Jayson Tatum's overrated because people are already saying he's a stud, or a Celtics legend because he is a star already, then that's where you could be right. But for you to confuse the hype and confuse the overrating of Jayson Tatum, you're wrong. Because Jayson Tatum has shown the things people wanted him to do. He was supposed to come in and be a score at any time, score at will type player. He's shown he can do that. He's supposed to come in and be a very, very good clutch player. This year alone, he has a game winner. He dropped Paul George to the ground, tied the game against the best team in the league, and took him to overtime. right? He has done what he needs to do. He's hit clutch shot after clutch shot this year. Even in games where he doesn't seem like he's playing very well, he'll make the clutch play, aka the Warriors game. He had that clutch steal and a dunk at the end of the game with seconds left to give them a lead. What did we want from Jayson Tatum, whether you're a Celtics fan, or what did you expect from him if you're an NBA fan? Him to be another, I can just do anything on the offensive end, and I do it when it matters. Jayson Tatum has shown that he can do that. That is why it's okay to hype him up. You hype people before they break out. No one hypes up Kyrie Irving. No one hypes up LeBron James anymore. They're already established players. That's where you can get into overrating. If you're trying to tell me a guy like, who's a good example? A guy like Andre Drummond is the best center in the league. Now you're overrating him. And I only brought him up because we might mention his name towards the end of this episode. But obviously he's not the best center in the league. Or like Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard's the best center to ever play the game. You're overrating him because you know what he is. And you're not seeing it clearly. To hype someone up like Jayson Tatum is completely different than to overrate him. And I don't think people are overrating him now. Maybe they're giving him some severe hype, but when there's smoke, there is fire, and there's been a lot of smoke from Tatum. The fire's coming. The fire's coming, and that's the point of the hype. We're smoking right now. We're about to be firing. Jayson Tatum's about to be firing on all cylinders. But without further ado, I asked for some of your questions. I picked some of the best ones, some of the best talking points. I picked most of them, don't worry. And we're going to get to some of those right now. All right, first up we have, and some of these are Celtics related, some of these are just NBA related, and I wanted to get to the big topic that came out today, and it's coming in from Heath. Heath says, not Celtics related, but with the NBA changing the season in the season tournament and whatnot, does it make sense to you? We will play some of that right now.
Welcome back to SportsCenter, and this just into SportsCenter from our Adrian Wojnarowski and Zach Lowe. Some big changes could be on the way for the NBA. The association's in serious talks with the Players Union on some big moves, including major changes to the season schedule and to the playoffs, some of which could happen as soon as the 2021-2022 season. Our Adrian Wojnarowski joining us now. Woj, take us through what the NBA and the NBA PA are discussing here in regard to the schedule.
Well, Jay, 4 significant changes, starting with what would be a minimum 78-game regular season, a 30-team in-season tournament that we're told tentatively would begin around Thanksgiving, take you into mid-December, and a postseason play-in for the 7th and 8th seeds competing with the 9th and 10th seeds, and then the reseeding of the 4 conference finalists so that it is possible that you could have a NBA Finals that could be 2 teams from the East or 2 teams from the West. They would reseed the Final 4 of the NBA based on regular season records.
Those are sweeping changes. Let's go back a second. The in-season tournament, exactly what would that involve?
Jay, it would involve essentially divisional play, regularly scheduled NBA games leading to a knockout round, a single elimination round, quarterfinals, semifinals, and a final. And there would be the winners of the six divisions, and then the next 2 best records, so 8 teams would go to a knockout round. There would be financial incentives for players, coaches. In that, it is something that Adam Silver has felt very strongly about, based largely off a European soccer model. And they've talked about different scenarios within the season, but we're told that the most traction right now is a post-Thanksgiving into December window of time for an in-season tournament, all 30 teams involved.
And so, out of that, it is super, super confusing. So Heath says, does it make sense to you? One, a lot of that doesn't even make sense to me. Like, I'm confused as to what Woj is talking about. Obviously, I've only heard that a few times and haven't really given it too much thought. Like we said at the beginning of the episode, kind of a decent amount of concussions going on in his head. But overall, I just don't get why they would make the change. Does that make sense? Like, I get that there's a little bit of issues with the scheduling, but there's always going to be issues with no matter what format you use. And the one part of this that I might like is sort of when it gets down to the conference finals and everything like that, maybe it's just the best teams are there rather than, the East and the West. And the only reason I'm thinking that is because I'm so sick of in Celtics, when Celtics were the number one seed in the Eastern Conference a couple years back with IT, they're like, oh, well, the Eastern Conference is so weak. It's like, then forget about the conferences, right? Play with the conferences to get playoff seeds and whatnot, and then when it gets down to it, have the best teams there. So I'm okay with that. Like, I would actually be down with that. I don't know about this in-season tournament. Maybe it makes it a little bit more interesting, and a lot of people are replying to my tweet about it, saying, oh, it'd be like soccer. That'd be awesome. I don't know a single kick about soccer. Like, so if this is cool, how they do it in some soccer leagues, then maybe it makes a little bit of sense. Like, I just don't know it, and I haven't experienced it. So do I like that part of it? I almost think that that's a little weird, having like a mini tournament inside the year. I don't know if I get that. I don't know about the knockout. It just doesn't make too much sense to me. It seems like it's overcomplicating it, and there's going to be issues with something that's such a drastic change like that. But the one thing, Heath, to answer your question, what I like, what makes sense to me, is saying, hey, when we get down to it, let the best teams play. Forget what side of the league you play on. Let the best teams play. So that is where I can say, all right, maybe let's structure this a little bit differently. But all the peripherals, all the nuts and bolts that Woj was talking about, he kind of lost me there, and I can't see the benefit right away. Does that make sense? This one is coming from Prince Raw. He says he wants me to give a prediction. Does Kyrie play on the 29th? And March 3rd, or does he play on the 29th and Coward Root again and skip the March 23rd? So that's what we kind of alluded to earlier in the year. I think Kyrie's going to play in Brooklyn. I think he's going to play in Brooklyn, and then, Nets fans going to be like, see, Kyrie wasn't afraid to play the Celtics. It's not about that. It's about playing in Boston. Kyrie, I don't know, I would like to think, and I'm not saying I would like, but if I'm being honest, if I have to give you a prediction right now, I can't see him missing the next game in Boston. I can't see it. That would be too fraudulent. Like, that is proving that you are the biggest coward in the world. So I just can't see him missing another game in Boston. But the steam's already gone. Like, him missing the first game back, that's where the boiling water is. That's where the hot stuff is. Who cares about the next time he comes? Oh, Kyrie's first return to Boston. Big whoop. Like, no, his first opportunity was months ago. So no, I don't really care if he plays again this year. I think him missing the first one is enough, but I do think he plays in Brooklyn, and I do think he plays next opportunity in Boston. But the steam has already left the building. Like, there will be enough of it, like, oh, his first game back, but it's not going to be the same as this is his first chance to play back and he skipped it. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. All right, this one's coming in from Dolio at Dolio Podcast, and he asks, is there a talent redundancy on the Celtics that mitigates injuries, but means the team will never be as good as the sum of its parts? With Kemba and Gordon, this team may win 57 games and lose in the Eastern Conference Finals. Without both, they would still win 48 to 52 games and get to a round in the playoffs. And he says, for example, I'm glad he said for example, because as you could tell, I already stumbled on that question a little bit. He says, for example, even though Hayward is better, if you traded him for Draymond or Sabonis, do the Celtics get better by covering up some of their weaknesses and eliminating redundancy, letting more of the wings thrive? So I guess if I were to dumb this question down just for the listeners and for myself, Dolio, I'm sure, is asking, because the Celtics have such good talent, like, and take out Kemba Walker for a second, I'll use just the wings because I think that's the best example. If you have a Gordon Hayward, who is better in my mind than Draymond Green and Dante Sabonis, but you have Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown also on the wing, would it be better for this team to, maybe instead of having a Hayward, get someone that is a less caliber player like a Sabonis, but plays a completely other position, so there's not that logjam at that position that creates some sort of, head-to-head sort of, just you have all of your good players on the wing. Yes, I think that theory makes sense, but I don't know, man. I think we've seen in Dolio, this is my easy answer to the question, I think we've seen in the NBA, talent wins, and you just get the best talent you can get. I can't really see downgrading a player just to make another position better and cover up some of your weaknesses when we've seen guys like, they're covering up their weaknesses pretty well. And everyone's talking about the big man issue. I think the Celtics have actually been pretty good on the big man end. So, and I know you're not specifically talking about that, but you did mention Draymond and Domantas Sabonis. I don't know. I think talent's going to win nowadays in the NBA, and apologies if I'm answering this just like all over the place, because it is sort of it can go both ways. Like if you want to hear that, this can go both ways. Like I would see both sides of this. Like, all right, let's get someone that's a little bit worse than, say, a star player we have, but plays a completely separate type of game, plays a definitely beneficial type of game that Celtics might need. Yeah, that is great in theory. One, you don't know if that's necessarily going to be the way it works out. And two, I am just stuck on, if you have the talent, make the talent work. You know, like, we heard it when Bosh, LeBron, and D-Wade all grouped up. It's like, oh, there's no point guard, there's no center, they just have a 2, 3, and 4. They made it work, you know? D'Angelo Russell and Steph Curry, had they both been healthy, it was going to work. You can make it work, especially in today's NBA with sort of positionless basketball. So, I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for, but that is what I'm thinking. It just doesn't make sense to me to downgrade in hopes that you cover up a weakness. This one's coming in from Javante Green Stan. He says, who would you like to see the Celtics trade for? And this is where I kind of mentioned, Drummond and Karl-Anthony Towns. Those are only the two names that I would love to see the Celtics trade for, because I think that they're both game changers. Like we talked about covering up weaknesses, you get a guy like Drummond. Now you didn't downgrade to get a guy like Drummond. You got a guy to cover up a weakness that does it better than anyone else. A big man down there that can rebound and just dominate that area of the game. I would love Drummond. Karl-Anthony Towns is one of my favorite players in the league. I would love them to go get him. But you notice those two names are pretty like, whoa, you want 2 stars? Like, no kidding? I don't know if the Celtics need to make a trade. If they keep playing well, like, think about even the games they've lost. What did they lose? 3 games on this road trip by a combined 8 points? If they keep playing like this, the Celtics don't need to make a trade necessarily. So that's where I'm at. So if they're going to make a trade, and if you've been a loyal listener for a while, you've heard me say it before. I don't need the Celtics to make a trade unless they are like getting a surefire, this is a dude. And if that's not the case, then I don't think they need it, This question kind of ties to that, so we're going to move on to a question from Larry. Larry says, what about Jamal Crawford, signing a guy like that? That's something completely different. That's not a game changer, but, the Celtics have not been too great off the bench, and now Kemba Walker's injured. Having a guard that can score off the bench, I'd be down for. That's the easiest way to put it. If you could get me a guy like Jamal Crawford, who can just go in there and be like, hey, I know exactly what I need to do. Look what Lou Williams does for the Clippers, right? If you have a guy like that and just like, okay, this is what you do, you get in there and you go score. I think that could be beneficial. I think that it's a win-win in that case. Like, you're not going to be paying him much, vet min, and you get a guy in like that. If he isn't working out, then you don't play him. You're right. It's here's your money. Thanks for being on the team. That type of thing. So I would be okay with that. All right, let's move on. We have Since the Sandbox in with a question saying, which rookie has impressed you the most so far? And I see someone reply being like, hey, I know this question isn't for me, but I want to throw my 2 cents in there. So shout out to Malcolm for getting his 2 cents in there. And I agree with them. I think Grant Williams, now he was probably one of the guys that I was pretty, not down on, but some of you guys that have listened for a while know that I just didn't expect much from Grant Williams, right? I didn't think Grant Williams was going to be a guy that could play too well in the NBA. He's been good. So impressed, I think that's a good word, because the other rookies, Romeo Langford, Carson Edwards, Javante Green, Vinny Poirier, still holding out hope for you, man. They haven't done too much to even compete with it. So I think Grant Williams is the easy answer here. Is it going to continue as the season progresses? I don't know. I could see maybe someone like Vincent Poirier finally gets going, and again, I'm kind of biased towards him, but I could see someone like Vincent Poirier all of a sudden emerging and certainly playing very well. So we shall see as that goes on, but that is what we have for the episode today. Shout out to you guys for listening. You have been crushing this podcast. The numbers are great. I'm putting so much focus into it, and, it's really paying off. So thank you guys for listening. The Unleashed Army seems to be growing every single episode. And this is the first episode. I should have said this earlier. We are doing this on YouTube now. So as I'm saying this right now, I have a camera at this pretty face. So if you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify or Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast, go check out the YouTube channel, Guy Boston Sports. You can just search that. You'll find it. This will be on there, the brand new video portion of the podcast. So thank you guys for the listens. As always, follow me on Twitter at FGuyBoston, and you can follow the podcast on Twitter at EvUnleashed. Until next time.